Hey there, thank you so much for joining us on today's Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. It's Thursday, October 2nd, and thank you so much for joining us. If you are just joining us for the first time for Weather Out West, we cover 8 of our regions in the West. That includes the Pacific Northwest, the Mountain West, California, and even Arizona in the Southwest. And today we're going to kick off our tour out west with Boise's Hector Mendoza because he's tracking a cold front, and that's going to send rain into southern Idaho tonight and into Friday.
Hello, Hector Mendoza forecasting out of Boise, Idaho, and we have some active weather that's coming along here through tonight and into tomorrow. So that's the biggest thing that we're going to be paying attention to. And one of the bigger headlines we have as we have some of those showers really starting to ramp up as a cold front starts to make its way through, and it sets up shop over our region. So bringing us a chance for some heavier rain for some areas. We're going to notice cooler temperatures, and those winds are going to start to pick up as we get through Friday and into Saturday. So these are the things that we're paying attention to as we're going to have that rain return later on today. We're going to see some of that moderate, possibly heavy rainfall through tonight and in through Friday. And then we're going to start to see as we get closer into the weekend, at least here in the Treasure Valley, drying out, clearing up, and cooling down there for our Saturday. So this is going to be the system and that cold front that we're going to continue to pay attention to as it makes its trek all the way in through our region. And it looks to stall here, so that is why we're going to see a very defined band of precipitation there from the Owyhees all the way up through the Central Mountains. And you'll take a look and have a better idea of what it looks like in that setup here as we pay attention to our future cast. So we're going to fast forward here through our Thursday. Temperatures are going to continue cool all the way in through tomorrow. And this is a look at what we're expecting here through tonight as that precipitation starts to pick up. Rain showers start to make their way through the Treasure Valley, so that includes Boise, Caldwell, Nampa, even down in through Mountain Home. It skips out there for the Magic Valley at least for today, but anticipating there for Friday and into Saturday, seeing a little bit more of that moisture make its way on through. But now it looks to stay there through areas through the upper Treasure Valley and through the Central Mountains here through Thursday night and in through Friday. Some spots into some of those higher elevation spots, at least above 7,000 feet, could see a rain snow mix. Now, the biggest thing that we're going to really keep an eye on is going to be some of the heavier rain totals that we are going to be seeing in portions of the mountains. That could see a possibility of about 1.5 inches of rain that could fall for some areas. And that is why that's going to be a cause for concern as we have some burn scars that could see some flooding and some debris flows. So if you are heading out to some of these areas or planning to make a trip into some of those mountain spots, anticipate some wet roads and a chance for some very low visibility. But this is looking on ahead here through Friday afternoon as most of it starts to dry out and make its way on through. We'll see a little bit more of that until the end of the day there for Friday before we start to dry out and see a little less of that as we continue on with cooler temperatures that start to come along there through Saturday, and that system decides to move on through, and then we're going to see these clear conditions as we look on ahead in through Saturday for many spots. Now here's a look at some of the potentials as we're going to look on ahead as we continue on in through Friday. We start to see some of that start to make its way through Thursday night, seeing about a little less than 1/4 inch there in Boise. But again, as we fast forward through our Friday, we see those totals really start to ramp up. Again, these are just potential numbers as these can change as we get closer in through Friday. But again, the possibility of some of those heavier rainfalls is what's going to bring along that flash flood watch that we have in places in the West Central and Boise Mountains, as that will continue from late Thursday all the way through the afternoon on Friday. And those are going to be some of the spots that we're going to pay attention to. So the areas through Cascade, some spots there in the West Central Mountains that includes McCall, and even down in through areas through the foothills as we look on ahead. But as we look at the 7-day forecast, we'll notice that some of those chances really start to increase into Friday, see a little less of that, and as if it continues there through Saturday and Sunday, could see a chance again for a rain snow mix that continues there for Saturday and into Sunday. But as we look at the 7-day forecast into Boise, we'll drop those temperatures. Breezier conditions will come along there for Friday that continue all the way in through Saturday. Much drier, starting to stay into those low 60s, and then we'll continue to see those temperatures climb up just a bit as we'll see the return of some of the sunshine, a lot less active weather and temperatures into the upper 60s there and through Wednesday.
Very nice and fall-like. Down in Portland, they're dodging raindrops again today, but drier and brighter skies lie ahead as well. Rod Hill has more in today's forecast.
Good morning from Portland. I'm Rod Hill. We have had some light rain falling right smack dab in the middle of town. I was out reporting live early this morning with the umbrella up, so I can definitely verify that. Nothing stormy today. I don't think we have any thunderstorm action inland. We've seen some strikes of lightning offshore, but I think that's where they will stay. So anyway, back on Monday we went 4 days in a row, measurable rainfall. Today is day 4. That's coming true. I still think tomorrow we'll end it with dry weather. Upper level low weakening to our north. There's a new player, another low down off the coast of California, both combining to send this flow that's working from the south up to the northeast across our state this morning. And everybody does have a shower threat. We have some light rain showers out east this morning. And then here's the rain bullseye. So our capital city of Salem already had 3 pushes of rain come through, where it's been, for the most part, just a rainy morning. I mentioned Portland had a dry start, but we've had a little bit of light rain now pushing through our region. It's been fairly dry along the coast, but kind of foggy from our live cameras in Lincoln City. So our futurecast, here we are at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Again, Central and the Valley, Central Oregon and the Valley, seeing scattered rain showers, no storm threat. And the shower threat should end overnight tonight west of the Cascades. And then Portland, Salem, and Vancouver will be all dry overnight tonight, all dry during the day tomorrow. Now, we have been this week tracking a front up to our north. It looked like it was going to hold rain chances to our north. Now it's looking like, well, maybe we get a shower coming in Friday overnight and or perhaps on Saturday. This is Friday late evening with the clouds coming in, and it's picking up a shower in our stories. We'll see. If you have weekend plans, I still think overwhelmingly Saturday will be dry most of the time. And then Sunday, we still think it's just going to clear out as we get developing east winds. So our cameras all show cloudy skies for the most part. This is one of our 2 live Timberline cameras looking south from the lodge down along the Cascades. There's Jefferson. You can kind of make out the base back there, but cloudy skies. Snow levels today, like yesterday and really the day before, about 7,000 feet to 6,500 feet for maybe just a bit of some light snow sticking. It's been in the 30s up at Timberline Lodge this morning. Our state capital in Salem, I mentioned this has been the rain bullseye with occasional rain to start the day. Again, it's been much drier up in Portland, but we have seen some light rain move through the city. And with all of that said, here's what we're looking at. Been a cloudy start, but I think it's reasonable to assume we'll get some sun breaks, scattered showers. I also think it's reasonable to assume that when we get through today and look back, it will be a bit drier today than it was yesterday. Temperatures in the 60s, winds southeast to southwest, 6 to 15 miles per hour. Similar setup in southwest Washington, where it has been dry throughout much of the morning, but showers expected to catch up with Vancouver, Battleground, maybe even Longview a little bit later this afternoon. I mentioned the storm threat in terms of thunder and lightning appears to be holding offshore today, so it's just a scattered shower threat from the Oregon coast all the way to the Idaho border. And you can see Baker City 64, the Dalles 66, Portland 64 at 4 p.m. So temperatures are pretty uniform across our region. Here's our 7-day. The only real change I have for you is that threat of some showers that we've introduced tomorrow overnight, Friday night, and Saturday. But again, this looks to be mainly dry weather. If you have outdoor plans, I wouldn't freak out or anything. 65. East winds still on track to develop Sunday. That will bring us clearing skies and give us a run of clear skies and highs back up into the 70s. Really nice for October. That extend through Wednesday, maybe even extends into Thursday and Friday. And a reminder that folks that don't get the east wind could see some lows next week, flirting with 39 or 40 degrees.
Coming up on Weather Out West, our team of meteorologists are tracking 100-degree temperatures in Phoenix, mid-80s in Denver. But next, we're headed to Washington with forecasts from Spokane and Seattle. It was a blustery and stormy Wednesday in western Washington. There's some alliteration for you. Seattle's Rich Marriott is tracking showers in the forecast, and he tells us what to expect for the ALDS playoff games this weekend.
Well, it was quite an afternoon yesterday around Puget Sound. We had several thunderstorms develop, and we had some really gusty winds and some heavy downpours that took place. And then that was, of course, interspersed with some blazing sunshine, too, just to kind of blind you from those wet roads. So fortunately, that has calmed down a little bit. Still showers around this morning, but a little bit different situation as we have a front draped over the Olympic Peninsula, and that's stalled there, and it's going to gradually dissipate during the day today. During the morning hours, we've seen almost all the showers going on primarily over there. We have seen some lightning strikes showing up just off the coast, so we might hear a roll of thunder there over parts of southwestern Washington during the course of mid to late morning, but that should weaken as it moves in, and that front's going to continue to weaken and should be pretty much wrapped up as we head towards later on this afternoon. But also seeing some showers up there around parts of the San Juans and up into Whatcom County, and then once you get down around Everett southward, we've only been seeing some occasional showers just kind of popping up here and there, and those will be on the decrease as well. Looking out right now, you see there in the Port Angeles area, we've got, skies are brightening up, but still seeing a few showers passing through there. And then around Bellingham, we've seen some very gusty winds have been bouncing the camera around occasionally. We saw almost a 40-mile-per-hour gust a little bit earlier today, so that got things really moving. But those winds are decreasing. They're down into the 20-plus mile-per-hour range here at mid-morning, so they'll continue to improve. And the Columbia Tower Cam basically just showing cloudy skies out there, a gray start to the day, but those areas of clearing should start to show up as we head towards this afternoon. First alert 7-day forecast. You can see we've got that chance of showers diminishing, just a slight chance of a shower later tomorrow on into Saturday from a system passing over that high pressure area and brushing by us. And then we get into some sunshine and warming temperatures as we head into the middle part of the first full week of fall that's headed our way. Satellite image does show that low we've been tracking for the last several days. They're now approaching Vancouver Island, but it's weakened and it's also split, sending part of its energy down to the south of us. And as that stretches out, that front's just going to stall there today and gradually dissipate as high pressure, you can see kind of to build those clouds streaming over the top of it. It's going to push in closer to the coast. Not quite close enough, though, to keep a system from moving over it as we head towards later tomorrow into Saturday and just brushing by us, giving us that continued chance of a few showers for Friday night on into Saturday for that first playoff game with the Mariners on Saturday. Looking at our wind gusts overnight, well, you can see the strongest one's definitely up there to the north, not all that strong once you get down south of Everett, and they're going to continue to diminish during the course of the day today. And speaking of the Mariners, we do have that scrimmage coming up at 5 o'clock this afternoon, and not looking too bad. It should be partly sunny. There might still be a stray shower around, but there's a chance they may be able to have the roof open today. Temperature is pretty comfortable anyway. We'll be mostly in the mid to upper 60s during that scrimmage today, so that'd be fun to go out to. Talking about wildfire smokes, there's fires still going on over there in eastern Washington, but now the air quality generally in eastern Washington much improved from what it was earlier. And if we look at the smoke models, really the only places that are going to be affected by poor air quality are going to be places that are pretty much near the fires and in the leeward fetch of those winds. And you can see it kind of switches as time passes from the areas to the north to areas to the southeast, and that's going to be the story, it looks like, for the next several days. We take a look at the air quality forecast. You can see over there on the east side of the Cascades, still today, still looking at moderate to unhealthy for sensitive groups. And then as we roll in tomorrow, this is a real improvement for them. They're just looking at moderate air quality and occasionally down into the good range. So we're seeing gradual progress on those fires over in eastern Washington, which is really great. Looking at our forecast high temperatures for today, really not all that bad. We're going to be close to normal in the mid to upper 60s. Tomorrow, we're going to be seeing them stay pretty much in the same range and on into the weekend. And then as we head towards the playoff games over the weekend, it should be mid-60s, low to mid-60s on Saturday and mid-60s on Sunday. And again, for today, partly sunny. We're going to see just a few showers as we head into the afternoon. Most of the showers during the day today over on the Olympic Peninsula and the northern counties. Tomorrow, partly sunny. Partly dry through most of the day, a chance of a few showers moving in tomorrow evening, mid-60s. On Saturday, partly sunny with a chance of a few showers around. We hopefully will keep those away from T-Mobile Park. Then as we hit Sunday and on into the middle part of next week, we're looking at lots of sunshine. Those high temperatures gradually warming up to around 70 by Tuesday and looking pretty nice for that first full week of fall.
Late day showers are expected in eastern Washington today, but drier and brighter skies lie ahead. Spokane's Thomas Patrick has those details, plus when the first frost of the season may arrive.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. Looks like today should be our last active day of weather for the inland Northwest. And by that, I mean we've been tracking fog all morning long, and we have one more chance for rainfall this afternoon. We start with a live picture over Athol, Idaho, where Silverwood Theme Park is located. I will mention about an hour or two ago, this cloud cover was very close to the ground as some areas have been seeing fog in our northern locations in either far north Idaho or northeastern Washington. The patchy fog in the morning now fading to the afternoon, as it usually does. Moisture can oftentimes thin or just mix out through the atmosphere. But it does look like today will be our last day of any shower activity at the same time. So these dense fog advisories for the areas I just mentioned, far north Idaho and northeastern Washington, that'll expire at 10 a.m. Some of our own coworkers here had been reporting very, very foggy conditions, even in Spokane at 3, 4, and 5 o'clock this morning. But since then, it's just been less and less fog action for the inland Northwest. Now we take you back towards that Pacific Northwest view. Just that same low pressure area still swirling, but it does look like it's finally out of steam and kind of out of gas here. There are rain chances. We're still well within the air mass here of what has been an active week of weather, but we're just kind of losing that steam. We're losing that energy here. It's occluded so many times over that it's going to have a hard time doing anything kind of significant or severe to the region. Maybe just a little leftover light rain, if anything, for today. Honestly, our temperatures are about as cool as they've been all season. High temperature of 62 degrees, even with those cloudy skies at minimum. A little rain could make it even cooler than that, though the rain chances are pretty low today. Again, those are the high temperatures for eastern Washington, mostly in the low 60s, which is still close to average, not running maybe a couple degrees cooler compared to that average mark. So here's the rain chances, and if it doesn't look like much to you, it doesn't look like much to me. Just a spotty shower here or there in the afternoon, but even our own computer modeling is not all that excited about our rain chances for today. And nor am I. I think this is definitely our lowest rain chance overall, even compared to some of the days that we've had recently. So this is, again, the overarching weather pattern, this big trough in the jet stream, not only keeping us cool, but keeping some of those rain chances in play. And aside from some mountain showers for Thursday and Friday, we trend into a much, much drier weather pattern across most of the West Coast here. But for the inland Northwest specifically, I wanted to show this big picture because it is a subtle detail, but an important one. The jet stream is in this ridge shape, but if the winds are coming out of the northeast and into eastern Washington, this is where our cold weather comes from in the fall and winter months. So clear skies during the day and at night can oftentimes leave nighttime temperatures quite cold. Look at the low temperatures, 47 Saturday, 42 on Sunday, even colder on Monday morning. This is what it will look like. 37 in Spokane Monday morning, 31 in Deer Park. There could be locations in North Idaho that also go into the 20s for the first time this season. And it is the season for that, to get a bit of frost or a freeze in the region. So the sunny days next week will be mild in the afternoon, but they will be quite cold at night, with 30s looking likely in Spokane for the first time this season, starting Monday morning.
Nice to see that autumn chill. Well, we still have a lot to cover in today's Weather Out West. After a quick break, we're headed to California. Welcome back. Let's kick off our California tour in Sacramento, where Monica Woods is tracking lingering showers, and she tells us when and where to expect them, plus if the weather's going to cooperate this weekend to check out the fall foliage.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods looking at our regional headlines, which include still tracking the opportunity for showers, but we're also going to add in there the risk of thunderstorms for the foothills and the Sierra. We'll go over that as we continue to track this tricky pattern, our low pressure system, the big one, moving through Canada, whereas the tail end of this, that troughiness, just kind of moving through northern and central California, settling into much of the Great Basin, and that will continue to feed us with at least a chance of showers and even some thunderstorms as well. Now, keep in mind, we've now kind of flipped the page into our new water year, and we're looking at the expectations, one of which is going to be this brewing La Nina. The conditions will peak before we hit those big wet months, December, January, and February. So a lot to kind of see how that unfolds. Plus, we need to be looking at our subseasonal activity. This is important for timing, both on the pace and scale of storms that come in. So what can we expect? More extremes, long periods of dryness, and long duration atmospheric rivers. Got that news from state climatologist Dr. Michael Anderson. As far as our weak La Nina events, in the past, it's not a real key signal in terms of precipitation. In the north, we tend to be trending wetter than average, but in Southern California, we trend much drier than average. But again, with these extremes in play, a lot to see how that will play out. Meantime, our current situation is a lot of beautiful colors in the higher elevations, whereas you can see in the background there, a light dusting of snow as well at Mammoth. And we're going to be seeing more of this. Now, this is very much in line with when we see that timeline play out along US 395 near Mammoth. Late September is the time to see that. Tahoe kicks in October, Lassen, Shasta, Yosemite in mid-October, Apple Hill and Calaveras kind of chipping down the hill here late October. As far as the valley floors, that really doesn't happen until November. As far as our current weather pattern, we're looking at that chance of thunderstorms developing on Thursday. It kind of falls almost directly in line with that low pressure system coming through, with the chance of excessive rainfall as well, right through the Tahoe Basin and through the Central Sierra. You'll see how this plays into our future cast. That line of showers and thunderstorms developing right around the Tahoe Basin, kind of sliding its way southward here, with even some overnight snow flurries possible late Thursday into early Friday as this low kind of carves its way through Central California. It'll be along 395 and some of the higher peaks in the Sierra, and also that chance of overnight thunderstorms playing out, especially throughout the Central and Southern Sierra almost, as that low kind of marches its way inland on Friday and moves its way off to the east. We'll still have some wraparound moisture to deal with on Friday, but then it's out of here for the weekend forecast. Some great timing there. Moving on to the precipitation forecast totals, right around 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch throughout much of the lower elevations. Once we get a little bit higher up, anywhere from about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Of course, that's really dependent on where we see some of those isolated thunderstorms. Could get some heavier downpours there. Thursday forecast highs in the 50s and 60s for much of the Tahoe Basin and moving into the foothills, and we'll translate that all the way into the Central Sierra, including Yosemite, up to 64 degrees. As far as the valley floor, right around the mid-70s to the low 80s. Along the Central Coast, we got highs in the 60s to right around 70. Inland areas will be in the 80s. This will be a very similar pattern as we travel our way northward, although inland areas will be a bit cooler. We'll only warm into the mid-70s for the coastal valley communities. 60s along the northwest coast, near 70 for much of the north end of the Sacramento Valley. For the capital region, highs only in the upper 60s to right around the lower 70s. So it's going to be a cool end to our work week, a little warmer as we head into the weekend forecast. And next week, more sunshine, highs back near average.
And while it's been cooler and showery up north, it's been pretty toasty in Southern California. That changes over the weekend as stronger onshore winds usher in cooler Pacific air. Here's Vanessa Paz with those details from San Diego.
Well, happy Thursday from San Diego, California. I'm CBS 8 meteorologist Vanessa Paz. It's almost like San Diego got the memo that we're now in October, because just as a new month started, things started to simmer down. We started cooling down, especially when it comes to those evening hours. And we'll continue with this fall-like pattern for the rest of the week as we head into the first weekend of the month. As we take a look at your weather headlines, first shout out to Boda, who sent in this photo, lovely photo of yesterday across our coastline, cloudless skies we saw out there. Here's a quick look at your weather headlines as we wrap up the work week and say hello to the weekend. We'll continue to have warming today, then we'll have a drop in temperatures lasting all the way through the weekend. We are still looking at unusually high surf along with strong rip currents for our coastline. So yeah, if you're visiting San Diego, you know anyone visiting San Diego, I would advise that they stay away from maybe the big sets, maybe take a look ahead at what the waves are going to be for the beaches that they want to go to. And if they layer, inexperienced, swim near lifeguard. We are seeing the increase of westerlies, also known as just winds blowing out of the west towards the east, as onshore flow starts to increase tomorrow afternoon. So the strongest winds will be targeting the mountains in the desert areas. We have been fairly nice, close and below seasonal for areas inland. This is data from Ramona over the past 14 days. September ended on a warmer note. We hit highs in the mid-90s for some days as we wrapped up the month, and then as we got closer to the end of September and the start of October, things started to simmer down. And we'll actually stay with this pattern. We have this pattern of onshore flow kind of just persisting as we get all the way through next week. So here's a quick look at today's highs for your Thursday. We'll shoot up to the 70s later on for the coastal areas. Near that, a little warmer for the mountains. This is what I wanted to call a cool, crisp weather. Although we're going to be warm during the day, we get to those evening hours, especially before sunset, and we're just looking at gorgeous conditions, fall-like weather when we get towards the evening hours. Low 80s on tap for the inland valleys, and we'll be looking towards overnight lows in the 60s. We'll be punching highs close to 100 degrees, meanwhile, for the desert communities. All right, we stay nice and clear for most of Thursday. However, onshore flow starts to strengthen looking ahead to tomorrow. Notice how we have a lot of green on the maps here. That indicates that we could have some shower activity, very light shower activity looking ahead to Friday morning. So if you wake up and you notice some drops on the windshield or a wet driveway, that is because we're looking at dew to form perhaps overnight. So taking a look at the big picture, we'll have this cutoff low from the jet stream. It's going to drop south, centering itself over the Four Corners. That's going to enhance onshore flow and those westerly winds. Sustained winds anywhere between 30 to 40 miles per hour, could gust anywhere between 40 to 50 at times. We're also looking at cooler temperatures countywide all the way through the weekend. So that is what's in store for your first weekend of October. Taking a look at daytime highs as we wrap up the work week, this is what we're expecting for Friday afternoon. We'll see the highs drop a little bit back to the high 70s for interior parts of the county, and we'll be topping out in the mid to low 70s from Oceanside all the way to downtown San Diego, expecting a high of 69 for Julian. Coast and inland areas will be in the low 70s for the next several days. Minimal daily changes for the coastal and beach communities. For the inland valleys, temperatures will feel noticeably cooler starting tomorrow. A slight rise in daytime highs closer to that 80-degree mark, especially for the warmer spots getting to the weekend. But regardless, we'll still be trending below average. For the mountain areas, we'll be in the high 70s tomorrow afternoon, and then we're about 10 degrees cooler by the time we get to Saturday afternoon. So we are expecting really nice days for the mountains, and then the temperatures plummet, cooling towards the evening.
After the break, summer-like warmth for our friends in Phoenix and Denver, how long that lasts and what the first weekend of October is looking like. Plus, crows are tearing up yards across western Washington. We go to the experts who say those birds aren't the ones to blame. Welcome back to Weather Out West on this Thursday, October 2nd, and it's going to be a whopping 100 degrees in Phoenix today. Yes, October 2nd. Ginger Jeffries tells us how long the triple-digit heat will last and if there's any PSL weather in the forecast.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries. We'll look at your weather out west across Arizona, where unfortunately we are seeing the return of triple-digit heat. Now, it's not all that strange for us. We typically will get some pops in the triple digits in October. The good news is we're trending down overnight, and for the weekend, we're really going to get those fall vibes going. But today, I think it is going to be the warmest day of the week. And, well, I mean, since we're only 2 days into October, the warmest day of October. Gila Bend, you're going to be the hot spot of the nation today. 102. I've got about 100 at Phoenix, 100 in Parker, a pair of 9s in Havasu, 85 today in Sedona, 73 in Flagstaff, 79 in Show Low, 95 in Safford, and a pair of 9s in Tucson. While it is October, while summer is officially over, monsoon officially over, and fall underway, none of these temperatures are record territory. I mean, for us to be in the records, we need to be in the healthy 110 110 to 115 range. Sedona would be needing to hit in the 90s bare minimum. Flagstaff, similar scenario. So yes, we're above the normal range, but we're not quite up to record territory. And I mentioned this is all in all kind of normal for us. Our 100-degree days typically last through October 5th. It doesn't mean we'll see that solid through October 5th, but it just kind of means we'll pepper them in just like we're seeing this week. Now, the latest the Phoenix has ever seen 100-degree readings happened in 2016, October 27th. Now, the unofficial break for all of us living in the desert, we know by the time we hit Halloween, we'll finally start to cool down. So October is one of those kind of transitional months, but I am very optimistic that we're going to err on the side of normal for this October. And that does mean double digits during the day and the low 70s overnight. Now this weekend, simply because we have a healthy little cooling trend, I'm looking for those overnights to be dropping into the upper 60s. So what's happening? High pressure. High pressure equals high temperatures. But now, as that moves out, let's zero in on this trough of low pressure, so cool, moist air that's coming in from the Pacific Northwest. And it does look like it's going to be brushing the northern tier of the state. And we should get some pop-up showers on the eastern side of the state through the Rim and White Mountains. But again, it doesn't look sizable at all. What's important is it's going to push high pressure out, allowing cooler air to come in. And here's what I'm talking about. I mean, very minimal at best. This is not monsoon moisture. This is just a little bit of Pacific Northwest energy coming our direction, trying to drip in some moisture. Now, the bigger impact being that we're a natural wind tunnel, we're going to receive the return of some strong winds, especially by tomorrow afternoon. I'd say between about noon to 6, we're looking for some substantial winds. And it's not just going to be isolated for Kingman. This should be draping in for at least a third of the state, primarily the higher elevations. As far as seeing any kind of wind advisory, doesn't look like there's going to be a wind advisory issued, but I will keep you posted on that. Until that time, remember, we are dealing with a lot of triple digits on the board today. 101 in Goodyear, right about 100 in Phoenix. I've got 102 in Maricopa. So plan the day accordingly and understand we should be in the healthy 90s by the noon hour, looking to peak between about 2 to 4 o'clock today with no wind, no major wind in the works for us today. But this is going to start changing into Friday, just kind of gearing up with some 20-mile-an-hour winds today in the higher elevations, but that should really ramp up on Friday, which helps bring around a nice little cool down for the weekend. So note the numbers. We are seeing substantially cooler weather in the works for you. After you get through this 100-degree day today, understand we are dropping below the normal range with your overnights falling into the 60s this weekend.
There's something in the forecast for just about everyone in Denver. Summer-like heat, rain, and an autumn chill. Kathy Sabin has those details. Plus, NOAA says a transition from an ENSO neutral phase to La Nina, at least a weak La Nina, is likely over the next couple of months. Jaden Daniels explains what that means for Colorado.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin. And here we are in the first few days of October, and the viewer pictures are streaming in. The leaves are changing in the high country. There's still time, even though some areas are past peak. Look at Vail and Lion's Head. A lot of people worry they're going to miss out, but I think we've got some more time. There is a big system off the coast of California in the Pacific Northwest that will eventually make its way toward Colorado. But with high pressure in charge and the storm track to the north, we have a mild, dry weather pattern shaping up with summer-like temperatures here for the second half of this week. So 80s in October. This is a volatile month when we can see blizzards. So when we see 80s, we will certainly take that, because a month from now, we'll be looking at a whole different weather pattern. High clouds drifting in. It's the storm in the northwest that will catch our attention for the weekend, but we're also tracking 2 tropical systems in the Atlantic. Umberto moving out to sea, Imelda taking aim at Bermuda, but because of Umberto, Imelda did not make landfall across the eastern seaboard. So we'll take that when we can get it, absolutely. absolutely. The moisture is pouring into the northwest and the Bay Area of California. We'll eventually see some of that moving into the western slope by Friday. And today, really not much in the way of cloud coverage, just a beautiful day. Light winds and dry air and just good travel. I-25, I-76, and into the mountains with those snow-capped peaks where we may be adding to that snow a little bit over the weekend. We'll start this morning in the 50s and warm to the mid-80s. Average high is about 10 degrees cooler than that forecast high of 83. 85, the warmest day of the week, and then a little bit of a cooling trend. 70s on Saturday, 60s Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Chance for a stray shower possible over the weekend into the first part of next week.
Well, there's a 71% chance that we'll see a weak La Nina this winter. But what does that even mean? Well, to break it down for you, La Nina means that we're going to see cooler sea surface temperatures in the central Pacific. Now, we know that the Pacific Ocean is one of the biggest oceans across the entire planet, and that will have an effect on our weather pattern. So how will that affect our weather pattern? Well, because of the La Nina and the trade winds pushing that warm waters towards the west, that's going to have an influx on our jet stream and push it towards the north just a little bit. So we're going to see a wetter and a cooler pattern basically for the northern portions of America. Now, down towards the south, that's where you'll see dry and warmer conditions. Now, that wetter and cooler pattern will have an effect on us here in the state of Colorado, talking about for our northern and southern mountains. So the good news and the bad news when it comes to snowpack, our northern mountains, that's some good news there. We could see above average snowpack totals, but the bad news, it's usually often bad news for our southern mountains just because it's a little bit stormier in that location. As far as our front range, it could be hit or miss when it comes to the snow. So breaking down the numbers, this is from the last 6-week La Ninas. It's very interesting, especially for here in Denver. Now, if you're a Denver snow lover, you might not like a weak La Nina because you can see that that total right there is below average, about 67%, but statewide average, above average, 103, especially for our southern mountains well above average. And matter of fact, back in 2022 and 2023, we actually saw a crazy event over towards the San Juans that gave us record-breaking totals, as in for our snowpack, which was up to 113% of above average. Our northern mountains, just right at average. So to sum it up, here in Denver, if you're a Denver snow lover, you might not like the weak La Nina too much because we're expecting to see below average as in our snowpack. But if you love the snow over towards the mountains, you will definitely love a weak La Nina.
Thank you, Jaden Knowles, not Jaden Daniels from the LSU Heisman winner. Okay, after the break, today's national forecast from Julie Martin. In today's national forecast, dangerous surf along the East Coast, storms in the southeast, and summer-like heat in the Midwest and even the South. Here's Julie Martin with those details.
We are still dealing with dangerous surf off the east coast of the U.S., particularly the southeast from Imelda, which is far away from land but still churning things up, so take it easy there if you're in the water. Rain and storms also possible, some heavy downpours along the southeast coast, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas. That goes for all of you. And then above average temperatures, kind of feels like summer as we head into the Midwest. Here's what I'm talking about. We've got those 80s in Minneapolis, high 80s there in Des Moines and St. Louis. Memphis, you'll be at 89 degrees, so still staying very warm in the central and southern plains. Heading into New England, we'll see cooler air, certainly in blue there from Buffalo to Hartford, and then comfortable fall weather really for the rest of the eastern half of the U.S. with highs in the 70s as some cooler air settles in from Canada. Also staying really cool here in the Pacific Northwest. Phoenix, the hot spot, of course, at 100 degrees. Denver, you'll be at 82 and looking at 70 in California. The feels like temperatures are going to be really chilly in the morning to start, feeling like 46 here in Spokane, 40s in the northeast as well, and then warming up, as I mentioned, a lot more like summer here in red along the central and upper plains into the southern plains. Texas, you'll be feeling like you are in certainly the 90s. So a little more typical of a summer, but we are now into October. So in terms of the severe threat threat for today. Not really anything organized showing up from the Storm Prediction Center, just some storms here or there. As I mentioned, Florida, especially the East Coast here, that's where we could see some of that tropical moisture really drawn up. We've got the flow coming from the shore onto the land, so that could really pile up the rain. We'll have to watch for any localized flooding. Here is your tropical outlook. We are still dealing with Imelda here in the middle. This is still a low-end hurricane right now, but pulling away from land. It will continue to do so, just really causing that rough surf along the East Coast and some of that tropical moisture getting pulled in. We have a couple other areas to watch. This one, National Hurricane Center giving a very low chance, about a 10% chance of development there near Florida. And then way out at sea off the African coast, another area, if you will, a lemon here to watch, a 20% chance of this one developing into anything significant. So at this point, it's just something we will keep an eye on. All right, let's take you region by region now. Chilly with some rain heading your way in Seattle. Sacramento, you'll be around 74. The hot spot, Phoenix at 100, and then comfortable there in San Diego. Sunny skies, 83 for you in Denver. We've got 97 in Austin, those 90s really throughout Texas. Heading into Atlanta, more comfortable air, 77 degrees. A few storms heading your way in Tampa. And then we've got the summer temperatures from the Twin Cities to Indy. Buffalo, D.C., though, feels a lot more like fall.
Now, Julie covered the Atlantic Basin. I wanted to take you to the Pacific because it's pretty active. We have Tropical Storm Octave, and this is going to move over the open Pacific and eventually likely becoming a hurricane, a Cat 1. But you see how it kind of bends back to the east. Not expecting much out of this one, but check out what else is going on. There is an area of disturbed weather off the coast of Mexico, southern Mexico, that has a high chance for development over the next week. Over the next 2 days or so, a 50-50 shot. But this eventually may be bringing moisture up to the north, but it's still way too far away to say what exactly happens with it. Now, look at the eastern Pacific so far. So you see all the way up. Octave is currently a tropical storm, and the next on the list is Priscilla, which this is definitely much more active than the Atlantic, which, yes, is expected. They're actually right on cue for the forecast, which calls for 12 to 18 named storms. Still ways to go in the hurricane season in both the Pacific and Atlantic. So, as we promised, crows, we're going to talk all about them because they've ravaged lawns across western Washington in the past, and they're back to do it again. When we come back, why experts say they're actually helping us.
The other day to my front lawn, and this is what I saw, and I knew what it was immediately because I've had neighbors with the same issue. It's because of the crows, and they are going after grubs. What are grubs? Well, they're beetle larvae that eat the roots of your grass. So the crows are actually doing you a favor. They just have a funny way of showing it. I did find out that if you're already at this stage, there are some things you can do that are both chemical and non-chemical options. So if you have this problem, best of luck. Hope you can solve it.
That was Seattle's Greg Copeland, and he's not the only to experience this. Our meteorologist Leah Pizzetti explains more on how the crows are helping by dealing with that problem that's buried deeper than the grass.
This Federal Way backyard is an oasis.
Just keeping it natural, trying to do what I can to help, the native flora and fauna.
Created by Camille Perezelski to welcome flying friends.
My 3-year-old knows names of birds and will call it out.
Until recently, when one specific kind took over.
I did not expect this, and at the ferocity at which they went to task was pretty insane.
It's a widespread problem in this neighborhood. A murder of crows destroying lawns. At each crime scene, blades of grass and a mess. So we called in backup.
Hi.
Hello, welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Gardening expert Cisco Morris says the criminal might not be the obvious culprit, despite the damage.
Because this is becoming a big problem. As you can see, your neighbors got it.
But together,
all right,
they can dig a little deeper and get to the root of it.
Break that up a little. Let's see if we see something in there.
Within seconds, the real suspect is revealed.
That's a European chafer beetle grub.
An invasive species
Yeah.
found in the Pacific Northwest only in the last 10 years.
It's kind of like a horror story, you know?
The beetles, just as bad for lawns as crows, if not worse.
They're eating the roots, so they're wrecking your lawn either way, whether the crows, it's not going to look like this, but it's going to thin out really bad.
So while the crows seem like the suspects,
Unfortunately, they could be, they're kind of sloppy eaters, you know?
they're actually the heroes.
You've got pests, and then the beneficials come in and eat up the bad guys, and it's all it is kind of the circle of all of it. And so crows, they are actually helping out, hard to believe as it is.
And with this new development, Camille is back to welcoming all birds to her home, even the murder of crows.
They are back on my friend list here, no longer in the doghouse, as it were.
This criminal investigation,
Thank you for figuring this out. Gross.
now complete.
Case closed.
Gotta always welcome the crows. And Cisco says that if the crows eat enough, they might be able to get rid of the grub naturally. So crows with a cause. That does it for us today on Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and we thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow for Friday, October 3rd. Big day for all you Swiftie fans as well. We'll see you then.